the alcoholic.
Hey, Ceci.
Hey, Ceci.
Hey, Ceci.
So my sobriety date is October 23rd, 2015. I have a sponsor. My home group is Midtown, and I have the privilege of sponsoring other women in the program. So I guess I'm just going to start from the beginning. I grew up in, I don't know if you mentioned it, but I'm talking now from Fairfax, Virginia. I grew up in Falls Church. I come from I'm first generation French Argentinian, so I grew up in a old European style household. When I was younger, everything was I grew up pretty privileged. I went to a private new liberal arts school. I guess I was kind of sheltered, but the way that my family was, they wanted us to know that, we weren't like other families. So I guess there was just that feeling of kind of being different, but not exactly. I didn't grow up around alcoholism or drugs or any of that. When I was I thought all of that was bad. I thought smoking cigarettes was evil. But what changed, and I should say, that, so, I always felt apart from, and always felt shy, and people didn't like me. And what happened later on, I think it just cycled, it's kind of it pushed me in that direction. When I was 11, I saw my parents die in a snowmobile accident when we were on vacation. So, obviously my life kind of got turned upside down, as one would expect. And so the feelings of being apart from and just, lost in this world just, went out of control. When I say that I felt really shy, I was embarrassed when I went back to school and they had announced what had happened. That's weird, I think, that to feel embarrassed and ashamed because something like that happens, I don't think it's a normal feeling, but anyways, I did. And so from there, what happened was my sister, and my sister's not to blame with what I'm about to say, but I found out she's 5 years older than me. I found out right around the time that she was about to move out that she was smoking weed, and she had been trying to peer pressure me to smoke cigarettes, and I kept telling her no, but because she wanted to make sure that I didn't try it with other people and wasn't cool or something. But so I saw her going down that path, and she was everything to me. I wanted her to be around me, and I didn't want her to not want to be herself. So I went to her and I asked her to show me how to smoke a cigarette, and that's pretty much all she wrote. And I'm so sorry I do talk about drugs. If you have a problem with that, talk to your sponsor. I don't know what to tell you. But so the beginning of my story started and ends with drugs, but there's a lot of alcohol in the middle. And to me, it really doesn't matter because it's whatever gets you out of yourself, right? It's just whatever substance, helps you escape from reality. And I quickly, learned that, that drugs and alcohol did that for me. At first it started just fun, recreational, experimenting, and with my sister. And then when I was 18, I had it in my head right at that point. I think I was all about meth. That when I did that made me feel happy and whole. The way that I felt I hadn't been that happy since my parents had died. But I learned later that it wasn't the drugs at all. It was the fact that I was living with my sister and her now ex-husband at that time, and I felt that feeling of family again. But so at that point in time, I thought it was, the drugs. And so at 18, I went off and I like for like 10 months. I just, stayed up 5 days, slept 3, then repeat. And then I went to, I got arrested. That saved my life. I went to outpatient rehab. All I wanted to do was stop doing crystal, and I didn't understand sobriety at that point. I really didn't even get the concept of it, and so all I did was stop doing crystal. But as after my parents died, I saw a psychiatrist, and I was like the poster child for the Prozac generation. They put me on so many antidepressants and mood stabilizers, and my guardian thought I was annoying, and so she had me on Adderall. And so from then I definitely had a dependence on amphetamines, and I went back on that for the same psychiatrist after being an outpatient. So I stopped the meth and just went back on Adderall. And and that's another thing, I really learned that, if something's wrong, you take a pill, or you take which is like drugs, right? Because I took pills however I wanted to once I discovered that they were fun. And so anyways, I stopped doing hard drugs when I was younger, and that's when my drinking really took off, right? Because I still didn't want to feel the way that I felt. And so that's when I started drinking every day. I didn't really start drinking until I was 21, because I was doing drugs before that. I actually started drinking when I was in that outpatient, right? Not doing meth, but I'll go out and take tequila shots. And so that's how it was for 10 years. I was just, I was drinking every day. I thought it was fine though, because I wouldn't drink all day. I would just go to school, come back home, and babysit a drink, like the way that I did my cigarette when I was studying. And then when I was done, I done with my homework, I would, that's when I would really start drinking, because that's what you did to go to sleep, right? And I'm not saying that I didn't go party other times. When I was in school, I partied every night and every opportunity. Why not? That's just what people do. And I had stopped doing the hard drugs, but I was still smoking plenty of weed and still taking my pills whichever way I wanted to. And at that point, I was then prescribed Xanax as well, so that made things way more interesting. And so this went on for a long time. At one point, I thought, I realized I needed to control it, because I was getting that craving, right, where you want, you feel like you need a drink. And I would get off work, and it happened in front of a family member. We were at dinner, and I was like, I just need a drink. I was so agitated. And as soon as I had it, I felt like I could breathe again. And, that was a problem, but it didn't stop me from drinking or make me change my behavior. I noticed that I was obsessively keeping rum and Coke at my house at all times, to have extra, right? Just in case I ran out. And, so I did what any good alcoholic will do, because I remember I had the thought, I was I don't want to ever end up in AA, because I like drinking so much. This is just I don't ever want to have to live life without alcohol. So, I switched, and it seemed to be more controllable. From liquor, I would only drink liquor when I went out, but I just went out a lot. But I don't know. I think I started controlling myself a little bit more, with, I think I was in a relationship at the time. And so, I just drank wine instead. But, then it gets out of control, mixing it with Xanax. Good times, but you never know how much is too much of each. But anyways, so for a while I did that. Gotten lots of consequences from alcohol. And, but I still didn't think it was a problem even after getting 2 DUIs. It just, I don't know if I would have ever woken up. I don't know. It's just so cunning and baffling. It seems so socially acceptable. I didn't realize that other people didn't drink like me. What did happen was, and I thank God for this, at the age of 31, I decided to, well, I met a guy, right? Because it always starts out that way. And he was a heroin addict. I didn't know this at first. And I was at a point where I was really depressed and isolated from everyone. And like, like bad boyfriends, like just a whole bunch of shit. And anyways, I decided to start doing heroin. This guy who I tried it once, he stole all my money, like a lot of money, and then he left me, went to Florida, didn't even break up with me. I think my cat had just died, and like all these bad things happened, all this circumstance of events that, of course, I put myself in these positions and horrible judgment on my behalf, in so many situations. But like, that's what happened. I was in so much pain, I couldn't take it, and I knew that that drug would make me feel better. It might not make, you know, it might not make it go away, but it'll help. And I should mention I had stopped drinking as much because I was like, no, ASAP, I totally drank still. I had to. ASAP is what we have here when you get DUIs. It's a class you take, but I think that had happened before. And anyways, the boyfriend didn't drink, so I think I drank less and just did more drugs. But so I called up my friend and I said, I know this isn't gonna make anything better. It's not going to solve anything, and um, but I know it'll make me feel better right now, and I can't deal with this pain. And that's what happened. And I met another guy, and off to the races. My using really took off, and it brought me to my knees really fast. It wasn't the consequences that, like, and I had a lot of them, that made me stop. I don't, because like I just started getting arrested again and again. And I lost everything, and I thought, well, fuck it, I've lost everything, why stop? And I just didn't care about myself. What I did care about, though, was this guy, right? It's like my weakness. And so what happened was he wanted to get sober. And I mean, in the end of my using, I was homeless. I had no money. I was staying with some random guy that I'd met at the Lamb Center, which is like this place we have here where homeless people go during daytime when the shelters make them leave. And, I'd become a horrible person. I was just doing what I had to do to survive at that point. And like, I got in trouble again with the law, and this boyfriend broke up with me. He was so angry with me. He wanted to get sober. I was out of options. I was facing so much prison time for yet another violation. And, I tried to stop when I first got out. But I couldn't go back to where I was staying at. I just couldn't keep doing it anymore. And I had every intention on not using because I was in a lot of trouble. But I did. I met some people who like kept me from having to go back to where I was, and I just started using again. And then some miracle, I got this guy that like I offered me a ride to go get a drug test I was late for at this case manager, and he helped save my life. He helped me get to stay sober and to get to like long enough to get to detox, to not get enough to not get in more trouble till get there. He helped me get out of that situation by letting me have a place to stay. And then when I got out of there, he helped take me to my first meeting. And I don't know where the willingness came to like get sober, because I didn't want to get sober. Like that wasn't part of my plan. It was also like my obsession with this guy. Like I didn't care enough about myself to get sober for myself. But if he wanted to be sober and I wanted to be with him, then I wanted to be sober too. And about 3 months in, like 3 months into my sobriety, he broke up with me. He kept relapsing. And his sponsor told him to break up with me. I was so delusional, though. Like, I still just wanted to be with him. It was like devastating to me. And I was like, well, if I stay sober, then in a year we'll get back together. Like, so delusional, but it saved my life too. Um, and so a few months later, oh, I should mention he also introduced me to AA. Like 2 months later, I realized that was never going to happen. But at that point, I'd already moved into an Oxford house, which is like sober living here, and I'd already made a network and had a sponsor, started working the steps, and building that network that they talk about, and really making connections with people. And by that time, when I realized it was never going to happen, like, I wanted to stay for myself. And I'm really grateful for him. He's not in the program anymore, but that saved my life. Not, and I say that because I feel like a lot of people, some people get sober for themselves, but I didn't, and I don't think I'm the only one who didn't care enough about themselves to get sober for themselves. But like, whatever reason brings you in here, just run with it until you want to stay for yourself. Then after that, like, I feel like I'm now, like, I just got 3 years in October, but like my first year, I think that, like, I did the steps, I got service positions, but I wasn't like as into, like, I don't feel like I had like everything that they talk about. I didn't feel like so connected. I think I relied mainly on fellowship, but that is not going to, like, keep you sober. The spirituality that I got, like, and the changes brought about working the steps, it's not instantaneous. It happens over time, and that has happened. But like, I think most of the change that came with me was when I started sponsoring other women. And also, I got really, at one point, I got disconnected. I stopped going to as many meetings, stopped, like, I say that I got in a relationship with my Roku, because really I would come home from work and just watch television. And I got really miserable and went to this camp out called Run Pig Run, and got called out by my friends who were like, "Where have you been?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've been, like," I said, "I've been in a relationship with my TV. I don't know." And, that made me really, like, have to, like, that, and the fact that the camp out is all based on service really kind of lit my ass on fire. And actually finally take action. And that's a good thing, though. Like, you'll go through points in your sobriety where you get miserable, but it's like that gift of desperation that you have when you first come in, that helped make my program stronger, right? Because I got really involved in service, like, and not just like meeting service. Like, that's actually the point in time when I started getting involved with YPAW. I joined the ECPOG host committee, and like, whatever type of service you got to get involved in, like, it is a really good way to help another person and to get involved and make connections and get out of yourself. And it's like, doing service has really helped me in terms of, like, I'm such a shy and insecure person on the inside. Like, I constantly still have to battle with the thought that, I feel like people who don't like me, I feel like I'm not good enough, I feel like I don't fit in. Like, those are thoughts that I still have, but they're not as bad as before. Because I've learned to recognize that that's, it's partly like my alcoholism, right? I've always felt like different on the inside, and like, they say that it's not drugs or alcohol that's our problem. It's spiritual malady. And for me, that's what it looks like, is the feelings on the inside that I used drugs and alcohol to, like, try to escape myself, right? To fit in. Before, I used to drink or use drugs. Like, now I've learned, like, tools, like, things to do to figure out my feelings, and to try to feel more comfortable with myself. Anyways, I have no idea what time it is, but yeah, so today, like, things are going really well. I've been a little bit overwhelmed with life. But actually, I had gotten to a point where, I felt like I was not perfect, but doing a lot of the things that they tell you to do, right? Like, before you go to sleep, of course, calling your sponsor every day, but like, doing an inventory, praying, meditating, and then in the morning, like, you know, the on awakening and the prayers. Never been really good about meditating, but I recently, for the past couple of weeks, I've let the inventory part slip at nighttime, and like for me, that's taken a little bit of a toll. Like I've felt like angry and like just really negative, and I wasn't able to figure it out. Like, and then like I'm also sitting on my second four step, right? I don't know why, but like it's not that hard. So like that, and like not doing like my spot checks or my daily inventory, it's like, you know, I've been feeling a little restless and discontent, irritable, like really irritable. But like, you know, like I talked to a sponsor, I was sharing meetings, and I figured it out. And like now I know what I need to do to fix myself, and to not feel that way. And A has given me like, you know, the ability to figure things out like that. And I know what to do now. So anyways, I think that's all I have. I don't want to keep rambling. Thank you for letting me share, and thank you for having me speak. This is the second time, and I really think it's awesome that they have like these online meetings for people.